I'm just letting you know I'm going to say that.
This is Werewolf Dawn by Mark Robyn.
Apologies in advance for any coughing. I'm coming out of a nasty bug, so.
Thank you for that. So, fade in on establishing shot, exterior London night. London lays desolate and empty, full of abandoned cars, crumbling buildings and broken bridges. Random fires set dark, acrid smoke into the night sky. Super Werewolf Dawn. Cut to exterior Dr. Forster's flat, Covent Garden night. Rain pours from a black sky, wind howls, and trees in the front dance like ghosts. The door of the dark, abandoned brick flat swings back and forth, creaking. Broken windows stare out like the eyes of skulls. Interior Dr. Forrester's flat, Covent Garden. Ripped, broken, mouldy furniture lies tossed about. Holes pepper the walls and light fixtures hang by wires. The wind whipping through makes a whistling sound. Amy, 7, blonde, stubborn, wanting to be brave, sits in her pajamas at the top of the stairs to the second floor, shivering, watching the front door below in fear. She yells, trying to be heard over the wind. "Mommy, Mommy, help me!" From outside the front door comes a low growl. Something is out there. Amy hears it and screams louder, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!" The growl grows louder, more distinct, closer. The boards of the porch creak. Amy stands up and works her way down the steps, holding on tight to the broken railing. A huge shadow looms near the front door. A stair collapses under Amy's foot. She screams as her foot sinks and gets caught. She struggles desperately to pull herself out as the front door explodes inwards. A werewolf leaps into the room. It peers around, sees her, and bares its teeth, snarling. Amy screams in blind terror and frantically tries to get free. The werewolf pads towards her. "Get away, Mommy! Mommy!" The werewolf reaches the bottom of the stairs. Amy stares into the dark red eyes and grits her teeth in fright. "No, Mommy!" The werewolf lunges as Amy shrieks. Interior Lloyd's of London, Amy's room, night. Amy wakes up. It was only a nightmare. Hands gently grip her shoulders and shake her. It's Dr. Hank Forster, her father, a gentle and intelligent man with a big heart. The room is dimly lit by a weak overhead light bulb, accentuated by smoky oil lamps on the walls.
Amy, sweetheart, wake up. You're having a bad dream. Daddy's right here.
Amy sobs so hard she has trouble breathing. She puts her arms out and he pulls her close. "Daddy, one of the monsters was after me. It was going to eat me." Dr. Forrester rocks her back and forth.
Now. It's all right, darling. It's just a bad dream. Nothing's going to hurt you. I'm right here.
Amy pulls back and frowns into her father's eyes. "But Daddy, it was Mummy. Mummy was coming to get me." Dr. Forrester's face transforms with grief.
Oh, Amy, Mummy would never hurt you. You know that.
"That's not what David says. He says Mummy would kill us if she could." Dr. Forrester's face clouds with anger.
Well, David's 100% wrong. Mummy loves us. She'd never harm a hair on our heads.
"Why did she have to turn into one of those monsters, Daddy? I want Mummy back so bad." Dr. Forrester pulls Amy close again and strokes her hair.
I know you do, darling. We all do. And we will have her back someday. Daddy's working on getting Mummy back.
Outside in the distance, a siren wails. Dr. Forrester and Amy turn towards the sound, dread on their faces. "Here they come again, Daddy. They're going to get in. They're going to kill us all."
No, they won't, darling. I'll never let them hurt you.
"Why do they come after us every night, Daddy? Why don't they leave us alone?"
Because it's in their nature, sweetheart. They're part wolf. And wolves hunt other animals for their food, and even people.
David, 15, walks in, looks much older than his years. His eyes show a battle weariness. He carries a rifle over his shoulder like a veteran.
"They're on the side by the church, Dad."
"Daddy, don't leave me, I'm scared." Dr. Forster grabs Amy's shoulders and looks into her eyes.
Now. I'll be back as soon as I can. And Susan will be here.
"What if they get in? What if they bite you and David and turn you into monsters too?"
"They won't, Amy, because we're going to kick their butts, just like we always do. They're nothing but dumb, stupid animals."
David's essentially right, Amy. As they turn more and more into wolf, their humanity disappears. Soon they won't be able to think enough to attack us. So you go back to sleep and dream about your birthday. It's in 2 days, by the time you wake up, things will be all quiet again.
I can't sleep. I'm too afraid. The siren wails again, somehow more urgent. Amy lies down. Dr. Forrester kisses her on the forehead. Susan, 19, smart as her father, but much more pragmatic, walks in. She sits on the bed and puts a gentle hand on. And puts a gentle hand on Amy.
Don't be afraid, Amy. Dad and David can take care of those mean old monsters. How about I braid your hair while I tell you a princess story, okay?
Come on, Dad.
Reluctantly, Dr. Foster follows David out.
You and I need to have a serious talk later, mister.
Exterior fortress wall night. London lies in ruins. Broken stone, mortar, rusty cars and barbed wire have been fashioned into a wall that surrounds a small portion of the city, including the Tower of London. Beyond the wall for half a mile in all directions, a no man's land has been created. The bridges across the Thames are all destroyed. Spotlights powered by noisy generators sweep the area as men armed with rifles, grenades and rocket launchers stare out at the darkness. Dr. Forrester and David join them. Field Marshal Strong, a tall, confident but war-weary black man, walks up and down the line of soldiers.
Here they come, men. Remember, if even one gets through and starts biting, it's all over. And if anyone gets bit, you know what you have to do.
A soldier on the line, he takes a handmade cigarette out of his mouth, flicks it away, and then grins sardonically. Yeah, tell them we'll keep their wives warm for them. His buddy grins coldly, and the soldiers around chuckle.
This is Custer's last stand all over again, just like every night. Don't let even one reach the top of the wall.
Dr. Forrester and David, holding guns aimed towards no man's land, they smile nervously at each other. Dr. Forrester gives David a quick shoulder rub as they stare out into the darkness, waiting.
Are we really all that's left, Dad?
Of course not, David. We've contacted other groups on the wireless. There's a large settlement in Los Angeles in America, more than 10,000 people. Another much smaller group in Russia. Then there's isolated pockets of resistance pretty much all over the world.
It doesn't really matter, does it? We're not going to make it, are we?
Don't talk like that, David. Of course we are.
David sees someone a small distance away and points.
Look, Dad, there's Ben Finn.
Dr. Forrester looks towards where David is pointing with a frown.
I see him, David.
Ben Finn, 25, sits on a crate with a rifle across his lap and swigs from a bottle of whiskey. He's dressed like a mountain man of the Old West in a werewolf coat with head still attached, a silver machete dangling on his hip. A scar runs from his left eye down his chin. He whistles a tune to himself.
Ben Finn. They say he's killed more werewolves than anybody. They say he shot the Queen when she turned. He even killed 2 at one time once with nothing but his silver machete.
He's a werewolf killer, all right.
You don't like him, do you, Dad?
He likes killing too much. That coat he's wearing was once a human being. I know a lot of people think they're monsters now, but...
David sees something in the distance and his face grows tight.
Here they come.
Exterior, no man's land, nighttime, continuous. From the darkness, they hear it first, panting and growling with a feverish, almost insane tinge of desire, growing closer by the second. Then dark, hulking shapes appear, moving quickly through the ruins. The werewolves reach the barbed wire and spikes. They fight furiously to get through, snarling. The silhouette of one huge werewolf, it stops, crouches, bares its teeth and growls. Another stops next to it and howls.
Remember, wait until you can get a clean shot. Silver's precious. Make each bullet count.
Exterior, roof of Davies Bar Creed Lane, continuous. From the roof, Warren sits on a makeshift throne and watches the battle. Angeli, his mate, beautiful even for a werewolf, nuzzles up to him. Durka, 18, his son, crouches on all fours next to him. Durka's girlfriend, Micheal, lounges on the floor at Durka's feet. Manson paces on all fours nearby. His girl Sally crouches in the background, chewing on a leg of lamb with relish, totally oblivious to the battle. Behind Warren, 4 huge werewolves crouch, gleaming teeth. Warren turns to Durka.
Tonight, we conquer men forever. The ones we don't kill, we put in cages. Then we can hunt them at our leisure. Then you and I will rule as father and son.
Who's Durka?
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
You say that every night, Father. I hope tonight you will be right.
Warren turns to Angeli and nuzzles her.
And you, my dear Angeli, shall be my queen by my side.
Whatever you command, Your Majesty. Quite a nice change from being a grocer's wife.
Warren lifts a ragged human arm to his mouth and pauses just before taking a large bite. He grins, showing long yellow fangs.
Let tonight's hunt begin.
Exterior fortress wall continuous. Werewolves lope through the wreckage of abandoned cars, buses, and remnants of buildings. 2 stop and fight each other, snarling and snapping. Then they run on, their mouths laughing silently. A werewolf leaps into the window of an abandoned double-decker bus. Interior double-decker bus continuous. The werewolf lopes past bodies still in the seats, corpses mummified, killed in their seats, frozen in fear and agony, most with their throats ripped out or bodies torn apart. He leaps out of the broken front window. Exterior no man's land continuous. The werewolf explodes. Another nearby meets the same fate. Exterior fortress wall continuous. A little present for you, mates. Enjoy the mines, you hairy bastards.
Fire at will, men. Make 'em count.
The soldiers fire. Soon the night is lit by streaks of weapon fire and explosions. The deafening cacophony of war fills the air. Every few seconds, a grenade or mine explodes, blowing a howling werewolf to pieces.
Light the pools.
Rockets streak into no man's land, igniting a river of oil. Werewolves in it and nearby catch on fire. Scream and writhe in agony. Exterior fortress wall continuous. David aims, shoots. A werewolf jerks backwards, whining.
Got another one.
Great shooting. You're a deadeye, son.
I don't waste silver.
David watches his dad shoot. Dr. Forrester misses.
You missed.
Dr. Forrester frowns, embarrassed.
I know.
Take your time, Dad. Wait for them to run into your shot and don't tense up. Exhale where you fire and compensate for the distance.
Who taught you all that, son?
Ben Finn.
I wish you wouldn't hang around with him. He's dangerous.
That's why I like him. He's not afraid of werewolves. He's not afraid of anything.
Ben Finn, he chomps on a cigar, aims, shoots, grins, and then reloads.
Right in the kisser. Last lamb chop your lamb for you, mate.
Exterior fortress wall continuous. They're at the wall. The werewolves climb frantically, snarling with hatred. Wolfbane and garlic on the wall make them cough and fall back. They get tangled up in the barbed wire and jerk back and forth violently to get free, howling with rage.
Pour the oil.
Buckets of oil are lit and poured over the side. They turn the werewolves into flaming torches. A werewolf climbs to the top of the wall. A soldier points his gun into its face, fires point blank, and the werewolf falls back over the edge. Another soldier aims over the wall. A hairy paw reaches up and grabs his gun. He's pulled screaming over the side into the waiting fangs below. Interior Lloyd's of London living room continuous. Amy and Susan lounge on a 17th century settee in a room full of magnificent antiques, the great treasures of England. Susan braids Amy's hair.
So what do you want for your birthday, Amy?
And that is the 10 pages. Thank you, guys. So I'm going to start with you, Catherine, as you were listening to most of it.
Is it werewolf or wenwolf?
Yeah.
I don't know when it's set. I couldn't decide. I needed that to be made clear because they say things like oil lamps and you think 17th century or 1700s rather, and then there's other stuff and the dialogue's far too modern for that, so I thought, well, it can't be that. But then there's other things that make, maybe it was in, I don't know, is it supposed to be now or in the future, or in the past, or a bit of, I don't know. I need clarification on that, because certain things, like they say, the wireless and oil lamp, and then it could have been loads of different times, but just being picky, but I was confused from the start as to when it was. I'm not too au fait with this kind of stuff, but isn't it zombies who bite you and then infect you rather than werewolves, or do they both do it?
No, you turn into a werewolf if you get bit by a
Okay.
werewolf. Yeah.
Okie dokie, that's fine. I think the dialogue might need a bit of a tidy up. The characters all seemed samey to me. There wasn't much distinction between any of them. And also some of the dialogue was a bit misconstrued. But for instance, I can't remember what page it was on, but it says fire at will, make them count. That's two totally different sentiments in one sentence. So depending on how it was said, if it when it's said in a particular way, like he's just oh actually shit, make it count, then that needs to be instructed in the dialogue notification. Again, with it's an instruction manual for the crew and the cast, so that sort of stuff needs to be added. But there was some nice visuals now and again, but unfortunately I wasn't grabbed by this one because I was too confused by it, to be honest. But I could see where it's going, and it was interesting, but it didn't grab me, I'm afraid. It needs maybe a haul over on the dialogue. It might give it a bit more punch.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with Catherine. You've got this field marshal saying, make every bullet count because silver is precious, and then fire at will, and then once again, make everyone count. It's just a whirlpool of confusion. And yeah, I without meaning to sound crude, I really couldn't care less about any of these characters.
And they're not distinct enough, are they?
No, there's nothing about anything that I read in them first 10 pages that made me think, wow, I really want to know what's going on here now. It didn't do anything for me personally.
The description of the characters wasn't bad, but the actual dialogue didn't home them. It didn't embody them. So it didn't feel like they were indistinct from each other, unfortunately.
There was no, how do you put this? There didn't seem to be any characteristics to any of them. They're just monoplane.
Mm.
And also it seemed like something like a cross between one of the, what's her name, Kate Beckinsale films. And,
oh, yeah, with all the leather.
Yeah, with all the leather and the werewolves and everything. And also a bit like, what's it called? Resident Evil, the Extinction one. It's all broken cities, it's weird monsters. It's, to be brutally honest, there's nothing original there. Now, Stewart's going to say he absolutely loved it.
Well, no, okay, so when I first read this afternoon, I thought, oh crikey, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to talk about this because this might be brilliantly written for the genre, and I don't know that genre very well, so I don't know. Who am I to comment whether this is good or bad, because I don't watch this kind of film. So that was my initial reaction. When we were reading it, I was, and apologies, I missed reading Durko because I was getting too into it. So I was getting into the action. So, I thought, I mean, the observation I had was, crikey, if all this is happening in the first 10 pages, where is this film going to go? It's like you've got to build it up slowly, or start with a bang and then like come back to, build up the story and go back in time. But so, because I thought, crikey, and 116 pages, is it all going to be like this? And I thought, I'm going to be exhausted. So I think the pacing for me needed to be a bit different and varied to keep my interest. I thought the from a nightmare thing was a bit too cliched and has been done so many times. I thought, oh crikey, yeah, that's not particularly original. And yeah, there's so much description in there about werewolves being killed in different ways, and the description of the, like on the bus and things. I thought, how much of that do you need in the script, where versus, kind of, do you just suggest it and leave all that to the set design and the costume design people, production design?
Well, it depends when it is.
It's a tricky, yeah. Well, yeah, there's a double-decker
You know
bus
when
in there,
it
but then they're using oil lamps, so
Yeah, but
it
they had
is a bit
double-decker
of a
buses
mixed up.
during the Second World War. It could have been then, but
Well, they
then
have to be using
True.
oil
sounds like
lamps
it's
'cause
24
you've
hours
got to-
later, but not, sort of thing.
Well, with all the destruction, you've got to work that they're using oil lamps because electricity's gone. But if the electricity's gone, how are they using radios?
True.
Yeah,
If it's
but that's why it
apocalyptic.
should say this is set in this time at the beginning.
Yeah.
It should be part of the instruction manual.
The other thing is, if it's set in London, is Amy American? Because she keeps saying "mommy."
Yeah,
So I don't know whether the writer's American and that's just coming out because they're American. But that needs to be made a bit clearer about whether they are visitors to London or locals.
that's,
So yeah, it's quite a lot to think about, isn't there? But I think, yeah, I mean, it's, as I say, I don't know the genre. This could be amazing, work really well in terms of the genre, and somebody might pick this up going, yeah, we can really do something with this, but and just change it around slightly or build the story up slightly differently, to finish with the way this has started. So that would be my observations. Yeah.
one thing with Amy, though, I did notice that she seemed a bit too well written for a 7. Was she 6 or 7? Especially during the nightmare scene, she was saying way too much to be that scared. It would have been like, oh fuck, there's a monster, excuse my language. It would have been, oh dear, there's a monster, and scream, get away, get away. She saying all that dialogue even during a dream seems a bit weird. Like, why is she saying so much if she's that scared for her life and trying to scrabble away?
Well, exactly. She's trying to run. Well, you get the feeling she's terrified for her life. That's the feeling they're trying to get across, yeah?
Yeah, but
she's screaming her head off and everything. Now, no 7/8-year-old is going to walk towards danger.
Except she thinks it's her mum.
Yeah, but she knows her mummy's a werewolf.
Yeah.
So she's still not going to walk towards her.
That is, yeah.
I mean, fear is going to overpower every other emotion. That's what it's there for. That's what it's designed to do. The human body is fight or
the fact
flight.
that there's still a little bit of human left in them or something, but maybe that was the idea of it.
Right.
But and again, well, I mean, it's a dream, so you can get away with some stuff, but it just seemed a bit. I think the dialogue needs work. Like, it's not terrible. There's some good stuff in it, but it needs a rethink, I think. But that's just my personal opinion. So well done for writing it. It takes a lot to write a script anyway, but
yeah.
Okay. My thoughts are, my first thought was, what year is this? As with everybody else, I got hung up on the Lloyd's of London building as well. Lloyd's of London original building was built in 1928, so that completely writes out any steampunk Victorian thing.
Right.
The whole time you're reading it, you're trying to figure out when it is, so you're distracted.
The second Lloyd's of London building was built in 1958. The one they use now is built in 1986 and is a massive, big glass and concrete.
Yeah, it's all glass.
So it's, I can see it working if it is that, in some kind of futuristic, slightly in the future, dystopian kind of
thing. Yeah.
But you need to tell us, when is this happening? And then you need to do your homework on buildings, because
that
just annoys me. I thought the dream sequence, like you said, it's kind of hackneyed. It's been done a million times. I think there's a better way of explaining that this guy, Dr. Forrester, whom I'm assuming is the central character with his family, you know, has got a child that he's, you know, that is terrified, and her mother's been turned into a werewolf. I think there's another way of just establishing their relationship.
I think it'd be stronger if it wasn't a dream and the kid maybe didn't say anything at all and was in some sort of post-traumatic stress with it and just imagined things rather than dreaming. That would give it more oomph, I think, if they wanted.
Well, I think what's happened is that we have got it's the classic, you need the hook, the initial hook to get you in, and the big the one I'm thinking, and I'm betting my life that this guy has watched
thingy.
The American Werewolf in
American Werewolf in
no,
London.
it's got Brad Pitt in it.
The Interview with the Vampire.
No. The zombie one. World War Z. World War Z.
Yeah.
World War Z starts with his family. He's rescuing his family. Crazy bloody zombies start to attack, and he has to get his family out of there, and he's piling them in a car, and there's all sorts of crazy shit happening at the beginning, but it's focused around the family unit. I can see the way you would want to establish a family unit and then go out to war, as it were, to man the barricades. Personally, I would put the manning the barricades right up the front. I would cut that first scene with Amy and the child, etc., and I would put that harrowing attack right up front, and I'd stick his concern for his daughter, and oh my God, I've got to get back to her. Look, they're closing on whatever that building is, and then get back into her and establish her. And that slows it
maybe still leave us believing they're monsters rather than having the bits of human, and leave that as the hook.
It better. And then also there's too much exposition going on right up front. There's too much explaining who they are. So there's a couple of times where he says that David's essentially right, I think is on page 4. I don't think you talk to a child like that. You know, and so there's way too much exposition. The thing about this should drip feed all the way through. We shouldn't get the why are they werewolves, what are they, how are they doing this, what's happened right up front. And this again on page 6 is telegraphing too much information. So that, of course not David, we've contacted other groups on the wireless. There's a large settlement in Los Angeles, in America, in Russia. There's too much information in this first initial 10 pages. We need to eke that out over a long period of time, so that those are things that we can discover along the way. That's what makes you engaged with the story and carry on with it. All of that said, I agree what you're saying. I think the characters that get mixed up are Dr. Forrester. I'm sorry, I keep calling it Forster, and that's because I live in Forster almshouses. Dr. Forrester, David, and the field marshal are quite interchangeable. Their dialogue, they're kind of quite, they sort of morph into one another. They just need to be identified more clearly. But I actually do like the battle with the werewolves, and I love the werewolves when they come along. I think characterizing them as families and units in their own right is a really great idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah,
I like that.
And bits of dark humor is good as well.
Yeah, and I do like the battle, but then I do like a good battle and lots of deaths. So
I couldn't decide whether that werewolf killer was a tongue-in-cheek joke or not. He came across a bit cheesy.
Yeah,
he was a bit cheesy.
Is that on purpose, or
I don't know. I think it possibly was a bit on purpose. I don't know. But that's,
I mean, is it
because if it was, I think it's very clever. There's very clever humor to poking fun at the cliche. It was always good to poke fun at the cliche in a realistic way.
Yeah, that's why American Werewolf in London worked so well.
Yeah,
because it took rip at all the previous werewolf movies, as well as staying true to a horror film.
So I actually really liked it, but there were stuff in it that I didn't like, if that makes sense. There was stuff in it that needs a lot of work, but I actually like the concept, the idea. Yeah. I'm not sure that anybody's done a kind of head-to-head-on battle with werewolves to that extent, you know, like the zombie Shaun of the Dead just keeps coming to mind because Until
Brilliant.
November, I lived in Shaun of the Dead land in Crouch End. Every year we get dressed up in Crouch End and be Shaun of the Dead.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we really do. In
You-
the Crouch End Festival,
Do you
everybody
go
dresses
down?
up as zombies and they all go and watch the film.
Fantastic.
And
a
it's
Rocky
it's
Horror
an
for
open
couples,
air
yeah.
film, and it's just zombies watching children.
Yeah.
Do you go down to the Winchester and have a pint and wait for it all to blow over?
But no, I agree. There was some good. I mean, I quite liked the fight scene actually. There was visually,
Yeah.
I could see that bit, but I
could
think
see
I was
that
so distracted,
perfectly.
not knowing what the fuck I was reading, from
Yes.
not getting the information at the beginning, that I couldn't be drawn into it. I think that's what didn't get me about it, because I was too busy trying to figure it out, because I wasn't given the basic information at the beginning.
Mm.
And there were things that were little going, it might be this time, it might be that time, it might be this time, you know. I needed to know what it was first of all. But I think that the dialogue, they need 3D rather than 2D.
Yeah.
They need distinctive
You know,
dialogue.
if you're going to have a 15-year-old kid talking about what's going on,
Yeah.
he shouldn't be sounding like the 50-year-old father.
No, he shouldn't. There should be a bit
He's a
of
15-year-old child. He's going to be using.
Well, they did say he was older than his years. I mean, it might be a kind of a, he's
that might have
been,
been
you know,
the
he's
way I
gone
was
through the
going.
war and is now a bit more of a man than maybe his dad's
Yeah,
not
but
taking
he's
it
still
too well,
15 years old. He's
but
still going to be talking
still
like
need to define
a
them.
15-year-old.
I think that's the thing. I think the thing is that you really need to get very clearly in your head the characters as you're writing them, and write from that character's point of view, not from you as a writer narrating that.
Yeah.
Which is very clear with the Dr. Forrester and Amy when they're talking. Dr. Forrester is laying on the information and the explanations. And in actual fact, for a little child, he's not going to do that. Your dad is not going to do that. He's just going to say, it'll be fine, go to sleep. You know, think of something nice, go to sleep. Have you got your teddy bear? You know, tuck you up, kiss you on the forehead, bye-bye, I'll see you later. Don't worry, you'll be fine, you've got Susan. He wouldn't explain any of the crap.
Remember, actors can say a hell of a lot without words. You
Yeah,
just need to
because
tell them what they're thinking or what they're
He's going to explain their part wolf, their wolf. She's going to be terrified. No dad is going to do that. Unless he's a complete insensitive bastard, in which case she's not going to have the relationship she's clearly got with him.
So things like
that just needs,
there's things like, you know, the doctor says that the more they move away, or rather the more they move towards wolf, the further from humanity they remove. And all this girl wants is her mum back.
Exactly.
And he's saying, your mum's turned into a pecking wolf and she ain't coming back. We'll leave her a bit of pal outside and see if she gets on with that.
So I think you just have to, it's just about, like, I think that's the main thing that's come up, isn't it? The characterization. Make sure you've got clear delineation between each of the characters. You know what voice, how they speak, how they act. You know everything about each individual character, and make it feel real. That's a big thing, because it's something this out there and fantasy. You have to make everything seem really real.
You need to induce the reality of that scene. So So
anyway,
make it yours.
Make it yours.
Yeah.